Alright, here you go. Hey guys, so I haven't really posted in a while. In fact, this is kind of a new platform. What I mean, I haven't posted in a while. I mean, like my Instagram. That's where I usually post updates. I know I haven't posted in a couple of months, so there's that. I don't really like posting pictures of myself. I'm not huge. I'm not really into that. But anyways, so if you don't know who I am, that doesn't really matter. What matters is what I'm working on. I'm working on my own procedurally generated horror game. Now, my horror game has taken a lot of twists and turns, and I'm the only dev on it. So let me kind of fill you up to speed. So the original horror game I was making, right? It's the same one as this, but it was on Unreal Engine 5. And the issue with Unreal Engine 5 was very hard to optimize in the engine, mostly because how it calculates lighting and then with all the graphics and all that. So, and you'll see in a lot of games that use Unreal Engine, so, you'll notice the graphics on those games. Like, it's my, I want to say it's mostly the lighting, right? But sometimes, like the assets you reuse, you'll notice a pattern how they all more or less look the same. And I want to kind of sway away from that with my game. And I'll also go back to optimizations. Performance on Unreal Engine 5 really, like most games that produce games off of that, most developers that produce games off of that, they're not very optimized and they're very kind of taxing on the PC. And since I'm running procedurally generated rooms and dungeons, essentially, well, I call them dungeons. You can call them layouts. There's a lot of terms for it. I'm just call it dungeons in this scenario. For those procedurally generated dungeons, they can be kind of taxing, and I'm producing 6 of them for my game. So that's kind of why I wanted to go into Unity, and pretty much it was almost ready to roll out. That game was almost ready to roll out. Just needed a few more bug fixes and all that. But the issue was the generation took too long to generate, and it just was way too taxing on the PC. So I kind of started over from scratch, and I was looking for different solutions. Now you'll find where I found this base procedural generation off of, which and then I'll paste his video there explaining how it works, if in case I can't explain it as well. But back to the horror game. So I wanted to produce a horror game that, you know, felt every time you went into it, it felt different. I still needed those iconic rooms, right? Like when you look at most games, right, you'll take a piece, right, a really good memorable game, and take a piece and you show it to anyone, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's from that game." Now, the issue with procedurally generated content is obviously you can still recognize it because there's still iconic pieces. Like let's say Lethal Company, right? Like you're not gonna find the rooms that are in Lethal Company in another game. You'd be like, oh, that's it's a COD. That's not that game. It's those rooms are iconic. But when I mean iconic, I mean in like a memorable sort of way. Like all the rooms in Lethal Company, more or less, they don't. When I'm by the way, what I'm saying is I don't mean it. I don't have any shame. Like I'm not trying to shame Lethal Company. That game is fucking beautiful. I love that game. All right. But what I mean, I'm just trying to talk about some of the cons of that game, and maybe it was developed that way, but I'm trying to kind of innovate um, regarding all of that. But when you look at Lethal Company, right, like most of the rooms, they're the same really, and there's not a huge variety of rooms. So I want every hallway to look somewhat different with little like differences, right? And I want certain rooms to be iconic. So if you see a room, right, you're like, oh, I know this room. Um, you know, these rooms aren't supposed to be like I'm gonna fill like 20 of these rooms. They're all gonna be the same. each of these rooms are meant to be different with different spawn chances. So that's more or less a kind of rundown of what I'm trying to do. And you'll see later, once I develop this game a little bit more, you'll see later what I'm more exactly what I'm trying to do, because I know I'm not doing the best at explaining it. So let me run you down a little bit more on the procedural generation and what I'm talking about there. So when most game developers, when they do procedural generation, right, and this is a very easy way of doing it, they'll this is not Lethal Company, by the way. This is somebody else's work. I'm just commenting on it. And this is, by the way, when I talk about this, so this is, there's no shame on that, because we're all developers. We're all trying to make it. Maybe you want it. Maybe you want your game to have your dungeon to have a lot of dead ends. It's sometimes it's by design, but oftentimes there's a little bit of weird things going on. So when most people generate a thing, they'll like place a room, right? And then they'll place maybe multiple rooms or just one room, depending on what they want. And the room will just start extending outwards, like branching out. That's great, but as you can see, like if it's not done the right way, like if there's no checks for nearby neighbors, it's gonna cause a lot of issues with dead ends, because you see dead end here, you see a dead end here, and some parts connect, right? But oftentimes you'll see a lot of dead ends, and that's not really what I wanted, because it could leave players getting frustrated, like, hey, why do I keep running dead ends? This is a terrible generation, right? I always want my rooms to lead somewhere, even if it loops around. I want it to at least. I would just want my rooms to be somewhere. I don't want useless hallways. Um, so what this does is, and again, I said this before, but I'll post where I got this generator from, his video, because he does a magnificent job of explaining it. I actually really like the way he did it. Well, we're gonna use Delaunay triangulation and a bunch of other different methods. So you like A star, and I think there was another poison disc sampling. That was the one that was not originally in this project. And there's something else too. Oh, it wasn't Pathfinder. I forgot what other algorithm he used, if he used a different one. But we're going to be using all of those to create modular and very customizable rooms. What I mean, I want to change the experience of like players, right? Usually, like when you just spawn dungeon, you can maybe like set the amount of rooms, right? Or set certain hallways, or those very small parameters. But I want to be able to change the boundary, right? So I want maybe like to make only rooms spawn here, right? And have the playable area here, or I want to be able to expand it, play around with it. That way generations could be narrow, they could be more expanded, right? Those are the two main things. I don't really want anything vertical. You can do that, but just for my sake, I don't want to do that. I just want to focus on these sort of 2D layouts, but still have the like to call it the way that open door of spawning stairs. And you'll see I already one of my meshes already does that. It leaves that open way, but it still spawns on a 2D to call it access, not access, but like a 2D I suppose on a 2D grid. There we go. Sorry, I can't speak today. So let me just show you what I did. So what this does, right? So this dungeon generator, dungeon generator, it's gonna spawn in a batch, right? So it'll spawn the first generator, right? It'll have it generate completely, and then it's gonna add 50 to the offset. That way, these generators, I tried making it do an offset at the beginning, but it didn't work. And I just can't figure it out for some reason. So I found this solution is to put it in a prefab, let it run, and then just offset where everything spawns. That way, each generation can just spawn, go up, another one spawns, go up, and I can just pump out. I can pump out biomes for my game. Now, I won't go into everything that I'm gonna do this game, because procedural generation is one thing, but I don't want to give away. I don't want to give away the idea for my game. I just kind of want to show you this because I haven't really seen many people do this. And if you've seen this before, point me, just like can tell me where you saw it, because I'm actually really interested to see if anyone has done this or if I'm just on my own on this. I'm sure someone's had the idea, but we'll see. Because I feel most people have a negative opinion of procedural generation, and I get it because a lot of the time it just generates and it's just copy and paste, and there's only like six different types of rooms, and it's just like, dude, where's the variation? Where's the variety? It looks more like just like a backrooms level than an actual a game. Sorry, that smells good. I just got like the Nautica green right there. Oh, sorry, I'm a smell fiend. Um, but okay, so it'll run all these one by one, right? And I'll just show you here. That way, I have this ready. So it's gonna take a few seconds. It might even take a minute, but you generally spawns with a few seconds. It's gonna pump that out, right? And then it's gonna spawn a new one. It's gonna pump that, and then it's gonna do this 6 times. So that's the second one. And these are all different biomes, by the way. Okay, that's good. So I'm also like watching to make sure that the Pathfinders are doing what they're doing, with doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay. Uh, and there we go. That should be the final one, and then we'll let it finalize. There we go. So now all batches are complete, and we're gonna have 6 different biomes. So when a player is on a biome, and I want to make this multiplayer, when a player is on a biome, all these other biomes disappear, but they're still there, so they still update in case we have a player here on this biome, right? And then we have a player here on this biome. They still update, but they're not relevant just simply because I'm trying to optimize. I have to find a better way of doing this. Maybe there's like a way I could turn into like a binary and just do this, because I want to make a AI that will kind of switch between different biomes, but it'd be too much to track. It's kind of too hard to track right now, so I have an idea for how I'm going to do it, but I won't give it out. Okay, so you see these biomes, right? Hallway, stairs, and rooms, right? Rooms, and then these are going to be where the elevators will spawn. For every time there isn't like a hallway connecting to a door, it's simple logic. There's an elevator that will spawn there. Um, we're gonna go here. So this is very basic. You'll see if you go to that link I put in the bottom description, you'll see that it looks very similar to his, right? And yes and no, because it's very heavily modified. I modified it so I have custom hallways. I can do custom stairs, and I can do custom rooms. And you'll see that there's doorways. In his, there aren't any doorways. And also there was duplicates sometimes on little corners or beginning of rooms, but the duplicates here are also all gone. So all of those things are done. And then let me show you here. So if I go to, I've been trying to make this modular just for my sake, right? Because if I wanted to, I could edit all these little details and do everything, but I don't want to do that, mostly because it takes too much time, and if I want to produce a certain biome, I just want to be able to quickly edit the settings. So this is your room spawn manager. This is where you'll store all your rooms, hallways, T-joints, corners, straights, dead ends. This one, there's no dead ends. There's not possible here, but this is just in case something did spawn, I'd catch it instantly. But there's no dead ends. And you'll notice with all of these, you can change, so you can input the room, right, and then you tell its scale. Unfortunately, there's no irregular shapes, so the door has to be attached to one of the edges of the scale. And then you'll have its spawn chance of spawning. It's simple. The max amount of those rooms that can spawn for that generation. And then you have the, let's go, if it's -1, it's infinite. You have the room size, and I might take allow rotation out. I don't think currently this generator allows rotation. I've tried it and it just messes up the generation every time. So I'll just have to do like a rotated version of the rooms, which isn't as great. But hey, you do what you gotta do. Um, let's go into our generated presets because this is the main thing we're just gonna be looking at when we're taking we're looking at everything. So let me show you what it does. So when you first spawn it, right, you need to have a parent. So the generator parent is called medical right here. But this name could be whatever as long as it's attached because I'll tell you what it does right here. So once you parent the name, right? Once you name the parent name, right? This will automatically rename this. As long as you have it selected here, this will automatically rename that to whatever you want. Um, this is just so all the prefabs here will go under it. So this will act as the parents for that. That way you're not looking at a bunch of different scripts. Ooh, that's laggy. Um, so there's that. So it'll automatically rename it, and then this is the biome setter. It just set a biome for each and every different one of these. We could have duplicate biomes. I don't want that because I don't want players to go into an elevator be like, didn't I just come from this biome? It's not really the idea. And then you have our seed generation. So our seed generation will pretty much, if I wanted to regenerate a new seed, all I gotta do is check that. But if I wanted to use an old seed, I have here, this is where you can see some other scripts. I have here a seed list. So oh my god, I gotta clear this list. This keeps track of every seed I've generated. Yeah, I test this a lot. I've done this like 194 times, and I've deleted before, so I probably ran this project like over 300 times. I'm gonna be honest. So I'm just gonna clear this because I don't want this anymore. And it'll automatically update every time I run the generation. But yeah, that's just that. So it'll print the seed to that file, and that way you could use seeds if I ever want to do a like speed run thing, right? Where there's a global leaderboard and see how many points you can get, something around that nature. There it is for you. Next we have the drop downs. So these drop downs, this is what I meant when I wanted to make it, I could produce stuff faster, right? Or change things faster. Instead of editing every like couple of these settings, and these settings are very nitpicky, they're very niche when it comes to editing the generator. Um, Instead of doing all of that, I just decided, hey, let's just make these to simple enums and they'll automatically edit multiple parameters. So shape and size, that let me create a visualizer here for you. This is the one we're on. So shape and size, this is the medical biome, by the way. Yeah, there's just each of these I can just change the visualizer mode. So by the way, the visualizer mode I made myself. That does not come standard. All this stuff does not come standard. You'll see if you look at the link again, you'll see that it's not the same thing. I just used it as a base and built off of that. But you'll see for the cell visualizer, right? What's it going? This is the boundary size. So this is short expanded. So this is a very small boundary and it's expanded. But if I did something narrow, right? These cubes would be a lot more narrow and it'd just be longer. Volume is the number of rooms. So this is 10, 20 rooms, right? So let's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it only chose 10? Wow, wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no. Wait. Wait, can I do math, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it only chose 10. Wow. Actually surprising. It operates, so it chooses a random number between 10 and 20, so I guess it just chose 10. Oh, it's never done that before. That's cool. Anyways, so for spread, this is how spread out the rooms are. So you have, expanded, so you have long expanded quarters, so the rooms will try to generate outward instead of compact. You have normal, and then you have standard, which, when I mean standard, what I do is how most of the rooms will spawn. That's just how most of the settings will be. There's no standard here. If I want to do custom, all I gotta do is just go to custom here, right? And then I'll do it'll operate off of these parameters instead. But I don't want that. I just want that. And by the way, this only works if you pause, not pause, but if you stop the generation and then you restart it, then it'll do all that. So you have standard corners. I want most of the rooms to be compact because I don't want players walking through a hallway that's this long. I mean, this is fine, but like again, those hallways are sort of long, um, and that in order for the generation to work, it has to be like that. But this is just for future use. So then we have loopativity. So I don't, this wasn't working earlier because if you extend this too much, then it's gonna be really weird. So I wanted to make just standard, right? So you have some loops, not too many, and then you have rare, which loops are almost completely rare. So hallways will instantly connect, 1 to 1. They're not gonna be like this. Sometimes it might be like that, but it's very, very low chance. Like I'm talking 0.05. You're not gonna get it. So you have all those parameters. Now this is my visualizer. So as you can see, this is how I kind of debug everything, make sure everything's working. So blue is hallways, red is rooms, and green is stairs. Now let's say like, hey, let me look at my stairs, right? Because stair visualizer, how it operates is so when a stair is spawned, right, it'll spawn 4 different cubes, but not all of those are true stairs. So this is checking to make sure if anything is next to it, right? And if something is next to it, it's gonna be like, oh hey, let me open up so I can connect this, which completely counteracts this thing where it just doesn't connect. So this like little area here, if I were to spawn it there, right, it wouldn't spawn like this. It actually connect. So that completely takes out that problem out of the equation. But the issue is, by placing these 4 cubes, it would open up here, and that's not right. It'd be like, hey, that's not actually supposed to happen. I know you want it to happen, but it's not supposed to happen. So what the stair visualizer does is it just shows true stairs. So this is a true stair, this is a true stair. That way it'll open up the right way. Next thing we have is the Delaney visualizer. So this is how it pathfinds. Instead of randomly searching for rooms, it'll, by the way, again, there's no shame in this. This is beautiful. Whoever made this is just well done. I just pulled this up. Whoever made this, like, well done, dude. You, amazing. You did really well. All right, and maybe I'm describing how we did the generation wrong. Maybe this is just a single instance, and it's actually a different way of doing it. But if it is the way described, then you again, no shame. Everyone's got to do the way they do. Everyone's got the choice. That's the great thing about game development. You can do what you want. You can do what you want, and it's just the designer's choice. And I completely respect that. But so we have the rooms here, so it'll automatically create all the edges, triangulate them, and we're using 2D triangulation, not 3D triangulation. Technically, it's a mix, but this just mostly just goes off of 2D because all my rooms are going to be on the same same grid level, which will be the in Unity space the X and Z axis. And then these rooms that are slightly higher for second levels, they'll still operate off the same 2D axis. So we have the Delaney visualizer. So again, that just shows for the pathfinding, all the rooms are connected to avoid that random search. Next, we have the hallway visualizer, which will just tell us all the hallways. Everything else you can still see, but this is just like the main thing to look at. I'll probably. Oh no, it's fine. And then I have the rooms visualizer, which will tell me, the rooms. And you don't really need the hallway and rooms visualizer. You mostly just want the these 3. Well, you know, you never know. It's always good to make things modular just for testing and debugging. But I think that's everything covered. Um, so we're making progress. This is a huge upgrade from what I had before. Um, and you know, this isn't necessarily visually appealing, but it'll get there. Right now, I want function and gameplay over graphics. Any game should follow that. This is one where people might disagree, unless it's like a realistic. No, no. Actually, I'll stand hard on this. If a game, all games, in my opinion, should focus on gameplay, the level design, and functionality over graphics. I know graphics like they're very appealing, but if you can't play your game in the right way, right? If it's not functioning right, or if it's too costly and your players just have a hard time with that, then I'm sorry, that's just poor game design. And you know, some might disagree with me, but this is my hard take. If you disagree, by all means, you know, put in the comments. Maybe we could have a friendly debate. I don't want to argue with anyone on this, but you know, we could have a friendly debate if you want. Interesting. I'll have to check this out. I don't know why it's doing that. Maybe error code 4. Where's my seed list? Oh, okay. No, that's just gonna delete the seed list. That's fine. Um, it'll go away. That's just like a little warning. It's not gonna break anything. That is the end of my sort of devlog. This is kind of explaining what I've been doing for the past, 2 months. I think it's been 2 months. Maybe it's been longer. Um, but I'm really proud of this. There's still a couple of things I want to do. Eventually, I want to add vents. But for now, this like vents will connect to rooms directly. So instead of pathfinding through all of these, you go through a vent and it'll take you to another room. These vents might be a little long, so just be warned for that. Maybe I could put like some rooms inside the vents. That way, it's not just go straight. There's a little bit of variability. But for right now, I think that's what I'm working with. So yeah. I hope you guys liked this little sort of devlog sort of update. This is my first one that I'm posting to this channel. I don't think I've ever posted anything like this. And you won't be able to see the repository. I have this repository on private on GitHub, and I don't think I'll ever open it up. But yeah, there's just something to watch out for. This game won't release for a long while. I'm working on it by myself. I model, I code, I model and code everything by myself. Like everything by me is produced. Everything here is produced by me, unless I take it from like that one dude, like the generation, right? But if I did take it from somebody, I'd heavily upgrade it. Or let me show you something real quick. That way I could show you what I mean by when I'm updating it, right? So if you didn't know, this game takes heavy inspiration from Alien Isolation. I love that game, and there's so many things that they could do with it, right? It's a great starting point, especially for multiplayer horror. I have my own take on it that I want to do, sort of like Alien Isolation. One thing you'll notice is when the game actually releases, I'm not adding any like weapons or guns to defend yourself, because I kind of want my players to feel helpless. I know this feels evil. This sounds evil. I want my players to feel helpless. If they have a chance to fight the creature back, they're not going to be too scared. I mean, they might be scared for some people, but for me, right, if I have a form of defense, I'm not going to be too scared. So this is a model taken not directly from Alien Isolation. I know someone reproduced it on like Sketchfab, not Sketch. Maybe it was Sketch. I think it was Sketchfab. And this is one of the hallways. I think from the No, not the Nostromo. That first mission. This is one of the hallways taken from it. And you'll see. I'm just kind of trying to remodel everything. Maybe my models aren't as great. but there definitely be more performance ready. So this is my attempt at kind of making it in my own way. You'll see some slight differences, but this is kind of what I'm trying to do. Oh yeah, that's just me looking at like how things will look if I do like um, if I train it into voxels. But yeah, that's essentially it. Yeah, there's a huge clutter. Don't mind this. This is just yeah. These are some of the rooms, the very basic bare bones rooms that I modeled out just for this demonstration's sake. Make sure everything functions right. This is what I'm thinking my character will look like, but I'm not too sure. Honestly, I like him, but I don't think this is exactly. I want my characters to be kind of unidentifiable, mostly because like I want to add a mimic eventually, later in the game when I start working on AI, and if players are distinguishable, the more distinguishable they are, the harder it is for the mimic to actually do its job. So yeah. But alright, guys, that's gonna be it from me. Hope you have a great day, and uh, catch you later.